This is the Sony H6 Air, or INZONE H6 Air, or MDR G600. That seems like the simple name to go with. This is the MDR... Okay, fine, we'll call it the H6 Air. This is a new gaming headset that Sony's put out. They're open back, and they're actually very similar to one of their studio headphones they already have on the market. Let's get these out of the box because they might actually be worth your time. Oh, well, that's nice and easy. Oh. So we've got a QR code for setup. They show us how to plug in the mic and how to put it on your head. Oh boy, that's important. I wouldn't have been able to do it without that. And you can see here they plug up USB to a PC or 3.5mm to a PS5. Though realistically, it's a 3.5mm jack. It's a headphone jack. You could plug this up to just about anything that has a headphone jack, not just a PS5, so don't let this fool you. But it's a passive analog headset. This is gonna be pretty versatile. This cord, oh wow, this is longer than my arm span. I'd say this is about 2 meters. We've also got some, oh boy, stickers. These are definitely going to go on my PC case. I hear every sticker adds a few FPS. Is that true? We've got our microphone right here. And right here we've got a dongle. Oh, I love a good dongle. Better to have it, not need it, than need it, not have it. This has a USB-C connection on it, but a USB Type-A adapter, because you know what? You might not have a USB-C connection on your computer in the year of our Lord 2026. On this side is a 3.5mm TRRS in case you also don't have a computer with a headphone jack. Though it's worth noting, if you just have a regular headphone jack and not a combo headphone microphone jack all built in one, you'll just get the headphone functionality out of these, and that's another reason you might want to use the dongle. Here's the headphone. Ooh, these are light. These are really light. These are 216 grams, which is realistically nothing for a headphone. 199 grams if you're using them like this without a microphone or a cable plugged in which case you're not using them, you're just wearing them, but still cool to know. Some manufacturers rate the weight of their headphones without the pads attached. So, either way, 216, that's pretty light. We've got a indicator here. Oh, that tells me how to adjust this up and down. That's convenient. The ear cups are made out of metal and they do feel quite nice. Very sturdy. There's no flex to them at all. We have this headband piece that's sort of a braided, maybe a nylon-like material, a synthetic leather on the top with a fabric mesh on the bottom. And then these ear pads, they are definitely a fabric ear pad, nice and pliable. They breathe pretty well, and I did this yesterday. Can I do it again? There we go. They detach. Look how open that baffle is. It's a pretty low acoustic resistance headphone. As for the actual pad dimensions, we have about 44 millimeters front to back, 68 millimeters tall, and because they're a universal depth all the way around, looks like before your ear hits plastic, you're gonna have a pretty solid 30 millimeters. That's actually really good. It's worth knowing that the inside of the pad does open up a little bit around this edge, so the pinna, funny word, this part of your ear can actually slip in behind the pad a little bit. That's pretty clever. Put these on my head. Oh, that's like a breath of fresh air. These are pretty crazy breathable. I feel like I could wear these for a long time without heat building up. I say that like I actually haven't been using these for a week. On the bottom we have our connection right here. This is a 3.5mm TRRS for our signal and microphone. Next to that, we have the actual microphone boom connector itself. On the back, we have a volume rocker. This is just a potentiometer, so it's adding resistance to the signal of the headphone in case you need to adjust it just a little bit and don't want to use your computer to do so. And then up top on the back here, so you'll feel it right here when you're using the headphones, is a pretty easy to find and tactile mute switch. That's actually in a really natural position. I can just reach up and find it right there. That's nice. All things considered, this is an incredibly well-built headphone. They don't have yokes right here, but they do have sort of a spring-loaded system, so they're still getting even clamp pressure on the bottom. I love the design of these. I think they look good. I think they feel good. I wish more headphones, even hi-fi headphones, were designed and built to be comfortable like these are. But what good is comfort without sound? So I think it's time we talk about the sound, right after we talk about our sponsor.
HBADA, do I look comfortable? I'm getting a damn massage right now. Their X7 office chair has built-in massager as well as a cooling and heating system to keep you comfortable during those long days of work. It also has AI smart lumbar tracking, so your chair adapts automatically as you adjust and move around. The armrest adjusts up to 270 degrees. Oh my, look at this thing go. And the chair comes with a 4D biaxial headrest. Experience ergonomic support that moves with you with the HBADA X7. Can this script please be longer because I'm not moving? I'm staying here.
Now it's time to talk about sound quality, which we will do using science. We take measurements from this guy, this thing, we crunch all that information down and use it to build a map of how this headphone will vary from person to person. Then we put it on here, and this gray area is the area the average person will perceive to be better sound quality, but is also honestly better for things like determining the direction of the sounds around you. This red ribbon here is how the headphone will vary from person to person, and the first thing you might notice looking at this, if you've seen some of our other graphs, is this thing really doesn't vary that much. This line is pretty close together across the board. If you want to get nerdy for a second, the reason for that is likely because this headphone has very low acoustic resistance, meaning it's very open. And very open devices tend to perform more consistently from head to head. As far as from left to right goes, this is where your sub bass is. Here's where your bass is, kind of the thumpy, punchy parts of the sound. Here's the mids, this is where most of your music lives. The upper mid-range, lower treble is mostly where vocals are and how you perceive things like how wide the sound is. And then all the way up here is your treble, the hisses and the pops and the tss. The things we usually associate with detail and crispness. If it's higher, it's louder. If it's lower, it's quieter. You'll notice right here, our sub bass is actually really good. This is right in a range that people are gonna be very happy with. This thing is going to sound very deep, very well extended into the low frequencies. You notice right above that, it gets pretty elevated through the upper bass and the low mid range. What this means is people are gonna find it to sound really warm, maybe a bit boomy, maybe a little bit bloated in those low frequencies, which can be a little bit suboptimal. There is some research to suggest that a bit of elevation in these frequencies does help the headphones some with things like footsteps. But once you start getting too far up, it just muddies up the sound. I find this is really tiptoeing on that line, and it can be a bit too much low mid-range for me at times. To the point where that, combined with some other sound characteristics, actually made it a little bit harder for me to tell where certain things were coming from in games. Luckily, that can be fixed. Let's talk about the mid-range next. The mids, as you can see, still pretty elevated here in the lows. This part of the mid-range is decent, but as we get above 1 kilohertz into sort of the vocal range, things start to recess, especially compared to where the rest of the mid-range is. This feels a bit too shallow. Right above that, around the most sensitive part of human hearing, we have a bit of a bump, though it is just within this range. It's not too bad. It still sounds recessed compared to the rest of the sound, which, well, you might call that V-shaped. And I'm sure you can see where this is going. The rest of this treble is a bit problematic. It's quite bright, as we would say, where there's just too much treble. It makes things sound sibilant, where the S sounds are just a bit too harsh. Gunfire in games and things like that can have a very harsh crack to them that can be a bit uncomfortable when you start to turn the volume up. Realistically, if you want to have very good spatialization of where sounds are coming from, it helps to have this range filled out a bit more. And while it is, this area and this area are kind of drowning it out. The result of those two things is that this headphone, and at least its stock sound profile configuration, I found pretty difficult to tell where sounds were coming from in video games. But it's just so dang comfortable, I decided to try and fix that. Now, this dongle, you can tune it with an app, but that app only runs on Windows, and I am a Linux user. So I did what any sane person would do, and I put a Windows partition on my Steam Deck so I could test this dongle for you guys. I would do that for you. I was able to fix the frequency response some with their app, but I was then horrified to learn that these settings, they don't actually stick on the dongle. You have to have the app open all the time to have these sound fixes. And some of the bands that you actually need to adjust, you can't adjust in the Sony app. But fear not, there is a solution, and it doesn't mean having Windows on your Steam Deck. If you already are using these on a PC, there is a free application that's been around for a long time called Equalizer APO, or EQ APO. There's a nice plugin for that called PCQ. It's also free, and I'm getting into some really nerdy stuff right here, but that's how you fix this. You use free EQ software. And it's not normally something I would recommend, but this headphone is so insanely comfortable, I think it's worth it. Just to make it easy for you guys, here's some basic EQ settings you can plug into basically any app with parametric EQ and make this thing sound decent. From there, if you want, you could tweak it a little bit to preference. In fact, I would encourage it, but this should give you a good starting point. Now, there's one more thing we have to talk about when we're going into sound quality, and that's the microphone, which I'm actually using right now if you want to hear it. This microphone does have side tone, which is adjustable if you're using the dongle. I'm going to mute and unmute it. If I was whispering to a teammate, it might sound something like this. And if I'm yelling, I guess we'll see if that clipped or not. Let's test how this would be used for the average PS5 player. I've got my vacuum cleaner running right now, and I don't know, does this sound okay? Does this sound like your friend group online on any given Sunday night? So, is this thing any good? Do I recommend it? Who's it for? Honestly, if you're willing to put in some work to EQ it, I do recommend it. This is the single most comfortable headset I have ever worn, and while the sound quality is underwhelming out of the box, that's something you can fix. Once this thing goes back to labs, I'm actually probably gonna buy one for myself. Which brings us to the price. They are $199 US, which, considering I've tried multi-kilobuck headphones that are way less comfortable than these, I'm pretty happy with that. And being a wired headphone, you're not gonna have to worry about a battery dying in a couple of years. Now, down and to your left, we did just recently do another video about an interesting gaming headset. It's the ROG Cathara. Between the two, I would actually take these just because they're lighter and more comfortable. They're actually half the weight of those. But if you like this video, you should check out that one. Remember, good sound is getting cheap. Cheap sound's getting good.